What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to be going through US electric vehicle sales data for the month of January, see what trends we can uncover. InsideEVs has released their estimates for sales data for the month of January. This is my resource. You guys should all check it out. I'll put a link in the description. These are not official sales from companies like Tesla, so keep that in mind. Let's get right into it. The best-selling EV for the month of January 2019, the 13th month in a row, was, you guessed it, Tesla's Model 3 with sales of 6,500 units. Now, for those of you who've been watching the channel, you may say, wow, that's a huge drop off from 25,250 units in December. So if we zoom into the Model 3 chart, you can see just how big of a drop off that was. Model 3 deliveries haven't been this low since June 2018. So what's going on here? There's a couple factors under the hood that are causing the steep decline in Model 3 deliveries. The first thing is these are just US deliveries. Tesla began delivering the Model 3 internationally to Europe and China this quarter, and I believe that is going to diminish US deliveries of the Model 3 significantly as they focus on the international market. So that is a trend to keep in mind, and that is the biggest reason for the drop-off. The second huge reason for the drop-off is it is so cold in January. It's a seasonally weak quarter, or seasonally weak month for selling cars. Simply, the entire car market is just weaker in January. Everybody's selling less cars. It's colder. You don't want to go to dealerships. And then the third thing going on is that the tax credit got cut in half for Tesla. So Tesla had the $7,500 federal US tax credit that expired in Q4, or got cut in half in after Q4 to $3,750. And so I think Tesla pushed a lot of demand into Q4, saying, encouraging its customers to take full advantage of the tax credit, as you would expect them to do. But that, sucked some of the wind out of January sales. And so the combination of international sales, the tax credit halving, and additionally seasonally weak January auto sales led to this decline. But once again, if we take a look at the Model 3 compared to everyone else, it's still, by far and away the best-selling EV in the US. And Tesla did have the top three, or did have the three out of the top four best-selling EVs this month. They didn't sweep the top three like usual, so I got to give the Bolt a shout out because the Bolt did squeeze in there at number 3, although it is important to note that the Model X and S are priced at about triple to quadruple the Bolt, and they still sell as many. The Model 3 is outselling the Bolt 7-1, so it is what it is. But those are the numbers. Tesla, running away with US EV market share. And if you'll notice, way in the right of that chart, I have the Jaguar I-Pace, which has started scaling deliveries here in the US. If we zoom in monthly to I-Pace sales, this is kind of cracks me up because this is, the touted Tesla killer. It's only selling 200 units per month max here in the US, which is like 20% of the Model S and X, let alone the Model 3. So the I-Pace seems like it's kind of off to a very slow start so far. Apparently it's selling a lot more internationally, but in the US still very, very tiny. So we'll see how this grows going forward. And while we're on market share, I just want to pull up hypercharts to just show you the seasonality. If you look at sales of the electric and plug-in vehicles market, you can see, the tremendous growth we've had over the past couple of years, but also once again, that huge drop off in January was felt across the entire sector of EVs. And if you take a look at the January 2018 number, that was also the lowest auto sales month for EVs for 2018. So January is historically the weakest month for sales. That's what we're looking at when we see the data. And if we even go to small and mid-sized luxury sedans, not just EVs, you'll notice that same trend of very seasonally weak January. So just wanted to point that out. But anyway, if we go to Model 3 sales by quarter, this is what the results have been so far. Record sales of 63,150 cars in Q4. Annually, this is what the ramp has looked like, and I am expecting sales of 280,000 cars for the Model 3 in 2019. Now, this is a lower estimate that I've had in the past, and I've changed it based on Tesla's guidance, which is from 360,000 to 400,000 cars delivered in 2019. So at the midpoint, that's 380,000. I figure 100,000 S and X, 280,000 Model 3, and that's how I get to this number that you're looking at on the chart here. I personally think this is a huge lowball, and Tesla is kind of sandbagging on the guidance and will crush that number, but it is what it is, and that's what I'm using for this estimate here. And so this is how that translates into quarterly deliveries. I'm expecting the Model 3 to actually see a drop off, and these are global numbers. I think we are going to see a drop off in Q1 because I frankly think US demand is a little bit weaker and was pulled into Q4. Additionally, the international deliveries means that we could have a delay from customers getting their cars to actually customers actually ordering their cars to receiving them because of the shipping, and that shipping delay could cause Q1 deliveries to dip slightly. I think they're going to start growing again in Q2 and then really accelerate in Q3 and Q4 with the $35,000 variant if that's introduced, and also because the China Gigafactory is supposed to come online in Q4 as well, and I think that could accelerate deliveries towards the end of the year. And so anyway, that's just that is sort of in my head how I'm expecting Model 3 deliveries to play out for the rest of the year. Moving on to the broader EV market as a whole, this is some really exciting news about just electric vehicles in general. And Tesla has really been the driver of the bulk of this trend, so they get most of the credit. But US electric vehicles are taking off. It was a record year in 2018, more than 70% growth in electric vehicle sales or plug-in sales here in the US. And for 2019, I'm expecting continued growth to almost 500,000 electric vehicle sales. This is just a rough preliminary estimate, but I think we're going to continue to see huge growth in this sector. And what's so exciting is if you take a look at electric vehicle sales as a percentage of total car sales, their market share is really, I think, starting to reach an inflection point. I mean, it's been steadily increasing, and we're getting to almost 3% market share, or that's what I'm expecting in 2019 for plugins. And that is slowly transitioning from very early adopters into, you know, an enthusiast to more and more mainstream customers. And I think the $35,000 Model 3 and all the competition trying to keep up with Tesla is going to continue to accelerate this trend, and we are really witnessing the disruption of EVs and them, you know, slowly taking over the market. I mean, this is the biggest, you know, fundamental technology change in transportation since we had the combustion engine almost 100 years ago, and now we're really, you know, inflecting the whole industry towards electrification, or that's what it looks like. And so, super exciting stuff for all those people who are in this to, you know, tackle climate change, to reduce carbon emissions. Like, that's really what I am so passionately involved in Tesla. And so to see Tesla really, you know, fulfilling its mission of sustainable transport and driving the adoption of electric vehicles across the world is huge. And moving on to the world's sales numbers, you know, 2018 was a record year for EV sales, 2 million units. I mean, that is huge. I'm expecting growth of, you know, towards 3 million units. That could be a way low ball for 2019. The bulk of this growth is going to be driven by China, which is the world's largest and fastest growing electric vehicle market. Anyway, this is my wrap up of US electric vehicle sales for January and a little bit of flavoring of, you know, electric vehicles as a whole. The gist is Model 3 still by far the best selling electric vehicle here in the US. Overall, car sales very weak in January though. And yeah, we'll see how this plays out throughout the rest of the year. I'll keep posting monthly updates here on Hyperchange about the EV market. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't already. If you like the channel, consider subscribing for our newsletter on Patreon. That's $5 a month. Huge shout out to everybody who supports there. Hey, this is Hyperchange. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.